Okay, divisions in the church. Hello, this is the second lesson or study of the book of First Corinthians. Or, yeah. So the three parts of the lesson, Paul's opening chapters, and then the problem of division. And then we need time to have need to have time. I think meron nang nauna doon, no? Yung pag-usapan natin, Brother Yoni and the rest. No? So Paul's opening chapters, there's, according to Mark Taylor, there are 6 main sections of the letter. Okay? First chapter about the wisdom of God and the value of the cross. Note that division is not given a high premium, but division is there, or divisions rather. And then issues of purity, both corporate and individual. Chapter 8, the freedom of the gospel, loving God and neighbor. And then we talk about worship in the fourth section, bodily resurrection in the 15th, and the continuing work of the gospel and its desire to visit. So the salutation or the greetings, author is Paul and Sosthenes. So Sosthenes here, he was also adding his inputs, no? I don't wanna, anyway. So recipient to the Church of God at Corinth. And then there's this greetings. Notice that it's a combination of a Hebrew and a Greek. Kasi yung the regular day greeting nila for us, kumusta? Kumusta? That is grace in Greek, no? Karein, hello, karein. And then for Hebrew, that is the shalom. Where in the Greek it is Irene, but Irene again is a Hebrew greeting. You know, Hebrew in or Jewish. So not to confuse with the language there. You know, there's the Thanksgiving. I always thank my God for you and praise to God. Why am I highlighting this? Because you see most of these contents in the greetings of Paul in the other letters of Paul. Okay, you can see these components working. There is an author, there's a recipient, and then usually after the salutation follows the topic. No? Sometimes when say, Corinthians, I dearly love you, no, but that is a preparation of the later on. You did this, you did this, you did this. So so you can see that yung usually the first portion after the greetings, you can see that there's a topic being formed. So Paul, called to be an apostle of Christ by the will of God, our Father Sosthenes. And then he said, he compared with Galatians 1:1, he is an apostle, not from the authority of men, not by the calling of men, but through Jesus Christ and God the Father, who raised him from the dead. Yeah, so you can see some comparisons. The apostolical was from the sovereign choice of God. So this authorship, and it has something to do with, again, yung conversation natin about inspiration, diba? Inspiration of scriptures. Galatians 1:1, and then Paul does not always include his apostleship in his greetings, but Gordon Fee. Notice, let's look at that. Paul called to be an apostle. For Gordon Fee, the reason why Paul added that to his introduction was because the people in Corinth, the people in Corinth were doubting his apostleship. Okay. Yun sa heading niya, it's there. And then we cannot rule out the possibility that the apostleship of Paul was in question. So according to Anthony Chesterton, apostles only uniquely bear witness to Christ's death and resurrection, but also endure the practical experience of suffering. And so since the Apostle Paul is not part of the 12, then they will say you are not a genuine apostle. But here, beginning with the way to Damascus, Acts chapter 9. So there Paul Paul held to the apostleship coming from God. Sosthenes the co-sender, maybe the synagogue ruler, mentioned in Acts 18:17, was beaten by the Jews when the Roman proconsul Gallio refused to hear the complaint against Paul. During this time, probably Paul was not there. No? So because Paul was not there, so they beat up Sosthenes. No? Sosthenes may have been in convert to Christianity. It was with Paul in Ephesus in the time of writing of First Corinthians. He was there. We could even say he could be the patron. No? Perhaps, no, if our imaginations pushes us, Paul was writing in the house of Sosthenes. So that's a possibility. So the recipient, the Church of God in Corinth, so just be careful. This is not the denomination, no? This is not a denomination. So anything that we say here against Corinth is for Corinth alone, okay? Those sanctified. No, notice, hey, do not forget that in the recipient, in the greeting, Paul said that the Corinthians were sanctified. They were the holy ones. They were the holy people in Ephesus. Like what Pastor Mark mentioned a while ago, we thank God that even in the sense of immorality, in the midst of it, there's still people who receive the grace of God. But these people who are involved in different types of problems in the church, they are described as the saints, the sanctified. No? So and when you say, perhaps Sister Jenny, that is a sarcasm against them, calling them saints, pero yung lifestyle nila,
Okay.
lifestyle nila is far from being one, ano. And then the Corinthians are God's, they are God's holy people by calling, you know. Whether we criticize them too much, no, they're still loved by God. To call on the name of the Lord was an Old Testament expression for the worship of Yahweh as the God of Israel. His intention is to strike at the independent spirit among those in Corinth who wanted to go on their way. He reminds them that they are under the lordship of Jesus Christ, and exist in relation to other churches. So they should see themselves as a community, not as for personal, personal glorification also. Paul speaks collectively, not to a single house church. So what they would do, when the letter would be coming to one of the recipients in Corinth, they would pass the letter, from one church to another, and that is what resulted to what we call copying. And some people would be very interested to have a copy of the writing of Paul, for example, the letter to the Corinthians. They would copy it so other local churches, not only in Corinth, but in other places, will have a copy of these letters. Okay. Term derives from Exodus 19, 5-6, where Israel is called a holy nation. People set apart by God for himself to the events of the Exodus. So sainthood in Paul's letters is not some elevated status reserved for a few extraordinary individuals. But the believers in Corinth, they're called saints as well. For the glory of God, not for the glory of these individuals. So in Christian greetings, grace and peace, the terms grace and peace, theologically significant. Grace indicates God's unmerited favor. They are loved by God, but it is not deserving. And then peace, the peace that flows from grace, the cancellation of enmity. They are no longer enemies of God, but they belong to one. So it echoes number 624, the benediction. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious. So it is a greeting, but it resounds the benediction from Numbers. And then there's also thanksgiving, reminds the Corinthians of their past enrichment, their present giftedness, and then the future standing of the on the day of the Lord. So eschatological expectation of what's going to happen. Of course, this has something to do with 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and the preparation about the discourse on resurrection, on the resurrection. So Paul focuses on speech, no logos, no knowledge, gnosis, spiritual gifts, charismata, anticipating his critique of them in the letter. So note, these are the topics: logos, speech, the wisdom, and then the use of spiritual gifts. Not used properly. Hello, not used properly. It was used in a negative manner. Day of the Lord. What's the day of the Lord? The day of God. In Jewish tradition, the expectation that God can visit them anytime. So that is of course, a continuing warning for us to remain blameless in the sight of God. This is a remarkable statement, since the Corinthians were anything but blameless. In their they have everything to be blamed, no, in dito sa, according to Taylor, no, page 45. So the praise to God, faithful, draws attention to the character of God who keeps his promise. Why should God be praised? That's a question. Why should God be praised? Isaiah 25, you are my God, I will exalt you. I'll praise your name, for you have done wonderful things, transformed, whole, faithful, and sure. Lamentations 3, the mercies of God never fails. They're new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Deuteronomy 7, of course, you see, the Lord your God is good. The Lord your God is God. He is faithful God, keeping his covenant alive of the 1,000 generations. And then a bit from Romans 8, the apostle insists that the ones God calls are those upon whom he said, to those who were predestined, prepared by God, set apart by the Lord, to be conformed to the likeness. So these are the same, although they are living in a different, or the letter is addressed to a different destination. They are also, the theology also is presumed here. If God calls, he will also confirm us blameless on the day of judgment, those whom he has called. Now, the problem of division. I appeal to you, this is a report coming from Chloe's household, no? Not coming from Chloe herself, but maybe a messenger sent by Chloe. I appeal or beseech to you, I ask you. In this light, you can see that in that I beseech you, no? There is already this, they could feel the weight, the difficult weight of division going on in the church, where Paul was not there. Several behaviors that characterize the Corinthians as worldly, acting like mere human beings, meaning not Christians. They are like everyone else. Yung description nga kanina, no, when they come out, they're just like anyone else. Chloe is mentioned only here in the New Testament, and we know nothing about her. Something that since Paul was in Ephesus at the time of writing, Chloe may have been a wealthy Asian with business interests that required her representatives to travel. So as Chloe had a business, so she would be traveling from one place to another. And so along the way, since they were traveling Ephesus, so the messenger would carry the letter, and then this tradesmen will continue on their way. The report concerning the quarrels does not come from Chloe, but rather from her household. Okay, what does this mean? Does not come from Chloe. So it is a possibility that Chloe was involved with the quarrel. No, she's not just there to make reports, but perhaps no, kaya nga the household. No. But you might accuse me, sir, you are reading too much into the text, no? But that remains as a possibility. Division, okay? The Greek word means fissure. Hindi ko po ito intended yung nangyari sa Cebu, no? Na earthquake, but hindi ko intended. It was just there, no? Okay, a rent meaning a tear in the clothes, or secondarily division as a discussion or difference of opinion. In the New Testament, the word does not per se have a bad meaning. It is neutral. You're just having a difference of opinion. But here, in 1 Corinthians, it appears negative, no? So the difference of opinion easily leads to sin and division, as was the case of Corinth. So the Corinthians were divided, rallying around particular figures whom they held to be superior to the others. Such a personality, ay mami, wow man na mami. Wait. Okay. So some personality who feel they are superior to the others. Such a personality focused approach to leadership. Again, I have shown to you the context. It could be a wealthy patron where one of the house churches were conducted, no? So that wealthy patron has he has in his dispense yung food, no? He decides which food to give and which food or wine to withhold, di ba? So we will talk about that more later. No? So okay, this is picture of division in the first century. Di ba? I am of Paul, I am of Apollos, I am of Cephas, I am of Christ. Division in the 21st, yon, I am Baptist, I am asensya na kayo no, nung yung artist hindi nilagay yung Pentecostal, but it is assumed, no? It is assumed. I'm Catholic, I'm Mormon, I'm a Christian. So different understandings of the divisions in Corinth. Kasi there was a question a while ago, what is the cause of the division? Actually, everything here is divided. Everything, no? You just look at the letter. A man had his father's wife. Yan, that's a division. People filing lawsuits against each other, division. Even in the Lord's table, there's division. I am for Paul, Apollos, Cephas, and Christ. The most straightforward reading is that individuals were split along four party lines, claiming to be followers of either Paul, Apollos, Peter, or Christ. Scholars frequently called into question into existence whether these four groups actually were fighting against each other. Frederick Groschaide, Paul denies that he himself, Apollos, or Peter have been guilty of recruiting adherents. It was the Corinthians who began to make distinctions and name themselves after these persons. After Paul came, Apollos was preaching. Some preferred to listen to, no? They would say Apollos is a better preacher than Paul. No? I would rather listen to Apollos than to Paul. And then these groups named themselves after Apollos and Paul respectively. Once this has become a custom, meaning because Paul was away, they would be doing this extensively, then Another would say, no, we are with Peter. No? And then another would say, no, you all are ano, weaklings. No, I'm for Christ. No, I'm the Christ group. We may skip this one, no, because it seems as yung presentation ni Raymond Brown is a seeming repetition of ano. No. Ganun din dito kay F.F. Bruce. No, I belong to Paul. And then I belong to Apollos, then I belong to Cephas, belong to Christ. For Bart Ehrman, the church was divided against itself, with different factions claiming different leaders. Hume, from Paul's perspective, was seeking to usurp the claims of others, to take over yung kanilang influence and superiority within these different church groups. Okay? Sounds familiar ba? By demonstrating their own spiritual superiority, claiming to represent the true faith as expounded by one. So what they would do, they would be speaking more tongues than the others. All right. Paul insists that all the sides, even is yung Paul, Cephas, Apollos, and Christ, these are not true group. They're not groups by this name. Again, for borrowing yung the word for the day, sarcasm, no? It was actually, Cephas is not leading a group. Apollos was not leading a group. But someone there, and someone else is there, you just replace the name. You just change the name. Someone there is trying to rule over the group, trying to bring influence in the group. And they were all, divided against each other. Paul insists that all of the sides, even those who are following the group of Paul, are in error. They are in error because they have elevated the status of individual leaders on the basis of their, of course, there should be basis. Spiritual, superior wisdom, superhuman power. Sometimes yung sino yung eldest among the group, perhaps thinking that these characteristics could be transferred from one person to the next. Yung bang laying of the hands, no? Matatransfer daw yung gift na yun. Yes, Mark?
Just for curiosity lang, sir. Since this Paul is particularly addressing the division that some of them are of Paul, of Cephas, of Apollos, it just came to my mind, were Cephas and Apollos also aware of the same issue that the Corinthians had? And also another question would be, were they personally able to meet with them in the place? I mean, just ano lang, just curiosity lang.
Yeah. My first, but my answer will answer both the first and the second. It might not be necessary that it's not necessary that Peter know about this. It's not necessary. Baka may stress pa siya eh. No? And the potential, the people were saying, since Peter might have visited Rome, so Peter might have visited Corinth. But during this time, it's not really about them. It was more of a sarcasm. It was more of, tawagin na natin si Ate Rose kasi. Sorry about that. No? Si Ate Rose kasi nandyan. At si Brother Yoni nandun din eh. Tapos nandun din si Pastor Aaron. No, pagsamahin mo yung mga yan eh, hindi naman nagkakasundo yung mga yan eh. They do not agree with one another. So if they were there, I don't think it is necessary. But it is potential when Paul was sending a letter to the Corinthians, Apollos might have been there during that time. Kaya nga there was a group na perhaps na na-attract kay Apollos. Better. No. Since Paul is away, Apollos is here. No? So, alam mo naman division, sabi ko nga, the cause can be anything. No?
Thank you po.
Yes, you're welcome. The leaders themselves who are left unnamed have apparently agreed on one major point, that wisdom and power indicate the superior standing. So that is why, how can you determine who is the best among us? So focus sila sa wisdom. At saka yun nga yung use of spiritual gifts. Use/abuse of spiritual gifts in that context. So two possibilities suggested by Keener, yet it is equally unlikely that the only divisions in the church were against Paul. No? It's not every one of them were against Paul. No. Perhaps si Paul may kakampi din siya. There could be also some members who took the side of Paul, no, in this time. So, yun, probably the two functioning divisions kay Paul at saka kay Apollos most likely. Because Apollos was there. Diba sabi nga, while the cat is away, the mouse will play. Diba? So, gano'n yung naging content dito.